Humility is not the tendency to think ill of yourself and to despise yourself and put yourself down. Humility is a virtue. And as a virtue, it has to be founded in reality, something right, something good. And humility is ultimately the virtue that enables us to have a just estimation, a correct estimation of who we are before God and among our fellow men. We see exactly who we are, and it's a matter of truthfulness with ourselves and acknowledging this. It's not a matter of denying whatever good is in us. I mean, even the very good, the fundamental good of existence, the fact that we exist, is a good, but it doesn't come from us. It comes from God. Humility does not consist in wanting to annihilate ourselves. That would be the utmost ingratitude toward God and lack of appreciation to Him. Humility actually calls upon us to treasure the gift of existence and the gift of life that God gave us, but always to acknowledge God as the giver and to be grateful to Him and to humbly acknowledge Him as the source of our existence, the source of our lives, and the purpose of our lives. That's what humility is. It's not a matter of denying. It's not even a matter of denying whatever talents and abilities we have. It's a matter rather of appreciating them in such a way that we attribute them to God, His goodness, and given to us for His service. That's true humility. The prime example of humility was our Blessed Lady. That manifested itself in an absolute, Satan said, I will not serve, and the Blessed Mother's answer was, I will serve. I'm the handmaid of the Lord. Absolutely. My entire devotion is to not even submit or conform my will to the will of God. Mary's will was uniform with the will of God. It was just totally and completely devoted to God's will. And that's precisely why she could become the mother of God. And she was so completely at the service of God's will. That's humility. Humility is not really so much a matter of going around beating oneself up. It's a matter of admitting and even rueing one's own weaknesses and sinfulness and so on. Yes, even as we appreciate the good that is in us that God has placed there. So we realize that we ourselves have come into the world with original sin and have in a sense, seconded original sin many, many times by our own actual sins. And the more we love God, the humbler we are, the more we regret those sins, the more we repent of them. But that does not in any way diminish our acknowledgement and appreciation for whatever good God has placed in us. We recognize that whatever good is in me has come from God, and I appreciate that, and I respect that. I love that. Our Lord says, love your neighbor as yourself for a reason. He wants you to love yourself. He wants you to love what He has given you and what the good that He's put in you, invested in you. So the great saints, the holier they got, the lesser they seemed in their own eyes. The holier they became, the less holy they seemed to themselves, because the holier they became, the more they understood, as far as possible, the more they appreciated the greatness and the goodness and the holiness of God. And that diminished them in their own eyes, But it filled them with gratitude. Humility being the just estimation of our place and the proper respect for ourselves and the gifts that God has given to us and the good that He's invested in us. That's what keeps us grounded in reality. That's the reality of who we are. It's an acknowledgement of who we actually are in the eyes of God. Pride distorts that. Pride distorts our understanding of who we are. Pride takes us out of, as it were, the service of God. Pride, in a sense, rejects God's sovereignty over us. And like Satan says, I will not serve, I will serve myself instead of God. But the humble man, he's not overbearing. He's not arrogant. The humble man is not puffed up. What does St. Paul say about anger and charity? He's not provoked to anger. When the humble man does embarrass himself or goof up, he's the first to laugh at himself and to think, well, Lord, what can we expect from dust and ashes, Even when he sins, if he sins gravely. Again, he doesn't get so despondent, that he's tempted to despair on the one hand, or tempted to presumption on the other, the humble man actually accepts that as being, kind of the course of things, would be natural for him, and he looks to God for the remedy.
I've read many times, Father, that there's kind of an inseparable bond between humility and truth, where they can essentially be equated in the sense that if truth is that which is, while humility is simply acknowledging that, simply acknowledging the truth. And so, of course, that doesn't preclude any kind of, you can acknowledge the good that you see in yourself or that you see in others, as long as you attribute that to God,
Well,
because
Tom,
that is the
I
truth.
like what you just said. I think makes perfect sense. I mean, truth is the virtue that enables you to admit reality and see it for what it is.
Yeah. So then that would make pride the
About
opposite.
yourself and others too.
That would make pride the opposite, which is essentially living a lie, where you believe something that is not true. That would be a lie, and that would be living a lie, which would be
delusion,
yes,
delusion,
yes,
yeah.
yes.